a second delay. Oh, I'm seeing a little green bar that's going back and forth. That should probably be it. Yes? Heck yeah. All right, welcome to Portland Tea Party. I'm on the phone with Erin because she's like, I can't hear you, bitch. And it's all good. All right, we're going to start over. Welcome to Portland Tea Party. I'm Ciara Pressler, your host. Today we have a guest from the transition committee from the city of Portland, but she's going to explain everything. I'm not going to try to explain it to you because, of course, my job is to ask the really simple questions, right? We had our post-storm week. I heard everyone was out and about. I was on the coast this weekend, so I missed the great return to retail and restaurants. But I want to make sure that everybody's out there supporting local because those people lost a week of revenue, right? Imagine not getting paid from your job for a whole week, right? So we saved a lot of money if we were stuck at home. So let's go spend some of it locally. And when you shop at a local business, more of the money stays in our economy. So it's a win-win. We are going to, we're just going to have fun today. Mike's not here, our producer. He's in Hawaii. Must be nice, Mike, while we're here in this dreary Portland weather. And Erin is in New York, so I'm doing this by myself. I'm not a technician. I'm a fake talk show host. And so we're just gonna see what happens today. We're gonna keep it low tech. We're gonna keep it analog because that's what Portland is all about. Theme song. All right. Cool. It's going to be great. I'm trying to run this. I'm trying to be the DJ and the rapper. That's not how it's supposed to work. All right. All good. Let's welcome our first guest from, let's see, can we get this to go? Oh, yeah. Oh, look. It's both of us at the same time. We're welcoming Amy Randel from the transition team. Amy, come join us.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much. Amy's like a communications pro, so she's like, yeah, mistakes, and you don't know what you're doing.
Hot Mess Express.
That's right. The Express. We might even see the TriMet bus go by. Hot Mess Express.
I love it. Yeah. I want to start by saying I also love CityCast. You mentioned loving CityCast.
Yeah.
I love their tater tot coverage. Their tater tot coverage around the city is top notch.
Where did I have really good ones? It was at Hey Love.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I heard they took them off the menu or something. I don't want to spread rumors here, but like that's not okay. Why would someone take tots off the menu?
Yeah. Well, they do a great job on CityCast of championing the tacho too.
Yes.
That is a Portland delicacy.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad they're elevating the space of
right.
the tacho.
Any nacho or variation thereof is my kind of thing. Well, I already like you. We just met today.
Yeah.
Tell us who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Amy Randel, and I'm a member of the Government Transition Advisory Committee, which is a citizens advisory body, which is the third of three commissions that were appointed by the City Council and the Mayor last year to help with this transition process. So I'll talk a lot about today. We'll go over it in a very basic sense today, but I'm one of 15 people that are meeting since spring of this year. We've had about 15 public meetings where we've been talking about all things to do with the transition with city staff. We've also been going out into the community and had 53 community engagements at neighborhood associations, at community groups, at community centers, anywhere we can. We want to talk to people about the transition. So I'm so happy to be here with you today because this is what we've been doing. And we're so excited to just give people more information. This is a really cool thing that's happening in Portland.
I'm excited about
City governments don't just change they don't just shake the Etch-a-Sketch.
Exactly. I love that metaphor. So I want to keep this very simple because we're going to do a lot of episodes about charter reform. So I want it to be exciting. So you come back for those other episodes. What is charter reform in general? So it's like starting the city over, kind of. You said shake the Etch-a-Sketch.
We are shaking the Etch-a-Sketch. So, we're going to pretend like you have just been sleeping under a rock for the last several years, but this has been happening, right? Yeah. There was a ballot measure where Portlanders voted overwhelmingly to change this form of government, and there's three main things that you need to understand about this change. So the first one is ranked choice voting. Okay. What is ranked choice voting?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So previously, when you wanted to elect one of our commissioners, we would select, I want this one person.
Yeah.
Now you have a chance to prioritize. This is my first choice. This is my second choice. This is my third choice.
Okay, I have a question already.
Yeah.
So I get to pick the commissioner I want really twice in the old system, right? Because there's the May primary, and I pick, like, I'm registered Democrat, which I really urge you to do in Oregon, because usually the Democrat wins and you don't get to vote in the primary if they choose a closed primary unless you're registered Democrat. So, like, know the game to change the game. Like, don't, I know it's like cool to be independent, but like you don't get to vote in the primary sometimes. So previously we chose which one from the primary, and then that person just like coasted till November, right? So really we chose the person in May. Is that still how it's going to happen?
No. So now we are in general election land, and in general elections, we will select. So that we don't do primaries and ranked choice system. We don't need to talk more about it. You just need to know that you're going to vote once in the general election for your district. So that's
for Portland. You still need to vote in the general for like county and federal?
Vote in every election.
Okay, yeah.
Vote in every election, bottom line. But for the city of Portland, for this transition, you're going to be making your selection for the mayor, the city auditor, and the city council in November.
So did we vote for the auditor before? Was that always elected?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anyone we're no longer electing that used to be elected? Do you know? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a good segue to number 2.
Okay.
So ranked choice
voting. I'm going to draw this to make sure we understand it. Okay. So we don't have the cool graphics today because Mike's in Hawaii. So
thanks,
now
Mike.
We have voting not in May, but also yes in May for non-Portland. And tell me a little bit more how ranked choice voting works.
Yeah, so you select one. So they're on the ballot. There's a bunch of different names. There's candidate A, B, C, and you used to just select.
There's going to be a lot more than ABC this year.
We're teaching. We are on 4th grade level here. So there's candidate A, B, C, and so you used to just say, I want candidate A. Mm-hmm. Now, with ranked choice voting, you're going to say, my first choice is candidate A, but B is all right, and C I could also be into out to 6 votes or out to 6 selections, depending on the election.
So I could be like 2, second choice is C, third is B.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of education coming at you as a lot of graphics and education on the part of the city of Portland. There's fabulous efforts happening. We'll be back to talk about that.
Can I write people in still?
Yeah.
Okay, don't do that though, because I know you think you're like following your values when you write someone in, but what you're doing is just really throwing the election off.
I'm not here to tell people how to vote.
No, you didn't say that.
You like.
I'm here to tell you how to vote because it's my show and I'm going to tell you how to play the game properly, right? You don't like start making up your rules, your own words in the middle of a Scrabble game and just, okay, we'll come back to that. So anyway, she didn't say that. I said that. So you could feasibly write in, I would write in Amy Randel.
Amy Randel, Scrooge McDuck, whatever you want.
Okay.
So this is how this works. We will be back. We'll talk about it. We'll go into it.
Okay.
That's all you need to know is that you're going to be making a bunch of selections. So instead of being like, that's my candidate for city council, you might say like, I like this candidate, this candidate, this candidate together.
So feasibly, number 2 could win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if...
Yeah, I recommend going on YouTube. There's a lot of really good explainers about ranked choice voting. A YouTube video is going to do it better than we could do it today.
But really, we can just do 1, 2, 3. That's really what we need to know.
Yeah.
I love
All
it.
you need to know is you need a few candidates that you like. You don't need to just make sure that there's one person like that's my candidate. You need to make sure that there's like a few that you're into.
I mean, I usually am into a few, but I usually have a favorite.
There you go.
So I like this. And I'm annoyed right now because often when this was being decided, people would say, this is too hard for people to understand who were against it, but it's not that hard to understand.
Well, okay, but it's more democratic. That's all we need to talk about today. Okay. So we like it.
All right. Thank you for being the objective
voice.
voice.
It's good for democracy. That's all you need to know. Okay. Number 2.
Okay.
is that previously in the former system of government, everybody was elected at large. So every member of our commission form of government represented everybody in the city, all 800,000 whatever people. Now there's 4 geographic districts that were determined by the committee that preceded my committee, a districting committee. And they determined, with lots of community input and a lot of great work, 4 geographic districts in Portland.
Right. So before we have 5 commissioners and they represent all of Portland, but they could all live on the same block. So are they really representing all of Portland? She didn't say it. I editorialized it. Now we have 4 different districts, and we'll talk about what those are sometime, but that's a big change.
Yeah, so it's about 200,000-ish, give or take a lot, of voters in each of these districts. So yeah, you can go online and find those districts. There's a really cool mapping tool you can play with to make sure you're in certain districts. So you just need to go online and identify, for example, I live in District 2.
Okay.
So
Me too.
Oh, hey, Northeast. Okay.
And North.
And North.
Yeah.
So they're roughly dividing city in 4.
Yes.
This is great for representation. So previously the east side of the city hasn't been represented as much as we would like it to be.
Yeah.
And people weren't necessarily accountable to individual constituents. So now they are accountable, and we love that. That's great for representation, and you actually have a city council person to call and say, hey, XYZ, I need you.
So there will be a city council person in each district?
No, there's going to be 3 in each district. So this was a 5-person form of government, which was commissioners, which we'll go into in a second, but it's a different form of government. The commissioners are now 12 city council people, 3 from each of those districts. So in our district, we're going to elect 3 people via ranked choice voting that represent our values.
I love this. Yeah. I love it so much. Okay.
Yeah. So that's number 2.
Okay. I understand it. I mean, I think it's exciting because, again, you said it's more democratic.
Yes, and that also leads into, now we have a different form of government. So this is where it could get a little wonky. But the main thing you need to know is that previously our 5 city council-ish figures, the commissioners, were in charge of the bureaus. So each of them was in charge of like public works or different things that the city does, which is a lot of things. Now they are primarily a legislative body, and instead of the mayor being the sort of like presiding officer over the council, there's going to be a council president. So the council, when they convene in January, will elect a president, and that president is going to oversee these 12 folks to create legislation and be in charge of creating policy and representing and doing community engagement in Portland. So that's a huge shift.
Yeah, because, so right now each commissioner has a group of bureaus that they run.
They're sort of like chief executives for the city.
So now the mayor has like more kind of.
Yeah, the mayor's presently on the commission form of government. So he's one of the 5 commissioners. So it's a huge change. They had to remodel City Hall. They had to build new offices. And you can go online and follow along. Yeah, it's really exciting. But now we have a bigger council, so it's going to mean more representation, more like democratic engagement among the council. So, I'm personally very excited about it.
Yeah. Well, so will they each run fewer bureaus now?
No, they're not going to run any bureaus. So there's going to be a city administrator. The city administrator is going to be hired by the mayor, and they're effectively sort of like a chief executive
a star for mayor.
The organization that is the city of Portland. Whereas previously they were the chief executives. Now we're going to have a chief executive be the chief executive, and they're going to have what that actually looks like is in debate right now. Whether there's going to be other layers. That's something that is being figured out right now, but we know that there's going to be a city administrator and a mayor and a 12-person council. Yeah.
I am like nerding out on the org chart.
Yeah, the org chart is a fun,
yeah,
is a
we're
whole
gonna
world.
do that. Yeah. Okay, so.
And it's very much in play right now. This is stuff that's being discussed at our meetings, at city council, among the transition staff. It's very much something that you can log on and kind of get into right now.
Cool. It's kind of cool too because, you know, each district is focusing on one set of 3, So your vote becomes really influential.
It's really influential.
Yeah.
And also, they don't need to have expertise in whatever. So previously, like some commissioner was managing some part of the government that they may or may not have expertise in. Now, they're going to be legislating on things that they do have expertise in because they're legislators.
Yeah, I really like that because, as you know, I work with a lot of bureaus, consult with a lot of bureaus, and all the bureau directors, their boss is actually a commissioner. Now, anybody can run for office. You can run for office. We'll talk about that too soon. But like, if I ran, well, I know too much, so I don't want to use me as an example. Let's say my nephew ran for office, and he was old enough. It's all good, but like, should my nephew be running the Bureau of Environmental Services? I don't think so. Like, my nephew's never been a CEO, and he probably also should not be running like the Bureau of Transportation or the Bureau of Planning Sustainability or the Police Bureau or the Fire Bureau. So I like the idea that you have an actual executive running things. That's great. Now, the literally $1 million question here is 513. Are we paying that much more money for all of this? Like, does this get more expensive, or how much? What's the ROI on?
Oh gosh, this is way outside of my pay grade to talk about this, but generally speaking, they've done an amazing job at keeping the costs to a basically cost neutral framework.
That's great.
But it's an active form of debate. Like on GTAC right now, on the subcommittee that I'm on, we're talking about how do they staff the council? Like, what does that look like? How are cities that are similar sizes doing it?
Yeah.
One thing about shaking the Etch-a-Sketch is that you got to rebuild everything. You got to figure out new systems, new norms.
Yeah.
And it's actively happening now.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that timeline. So we voted on charter reform in
2022, yeah.
Yeah, in November.
November 2022.
It passed.
Yeah.
Then we're like, oh my gosh, we have to do this. It doesn't go into full effect until January of 25. So there's a couple years to plan for it, but a lot needs to happen because 7,000 people work for the city.
Yeah.
So from where you sit, what's kind of the general process? I don't know.
This is
who's making the decision?
Way outside of my pay grade, but I'll just speak to what I know. So there's been a city transition staff overseen by Michael Jordan, who is an incredible public servant. I can't say enough nice things about how much this team has really mobilized to do an incredible amount of organizational change in those 2 years. So they sat down and they wrote out a timeline, which you can find online on the city's transition website. Go look at it. It's actually like an amazing feat of work. But they basically metered it out. So we need to do the budget at this time. We need to figure out how the chambers, they're presently remodeling the chambers right now. In November of this year will be the new election. So things are well underway with changing the way the ballot looks, changing the way we count votes, like all of the logistics. They're also updating the city code, which is boring, but also so important because it's how the city works.
Yeah.
So they're updating all of that stuff. And then our committee, along with the city transition staff, is really actively in the details right now of how is it going to work? How are they going to work together? Who are you going to call? Just the really simple stuff.
I know who you're going to call.
And also
311.
Voter education, talking about how that's going to work and how we're going to get out the word about ranked choice voting. So
we're doing it right now.
Actively underway, and I encourage you to go online to the city's transition website to find that timeline and familiarize yourself with it. But cannot say enough nice things about how talented the city's transition staff is and how heartening it is and has been. Every time they present, my blood pressure lowers a little bit, and I think okay, they're amazing, they're talented, they've got it.
I agree with you. I have met with them a couple times to present some ideas, and I also know a few people on that team because they were formerly, a lot of people were in bureaus and they decided they wanted to be part of leading this exciting change. And so it's been cool to see some friends from different bureaus then go over there and work on this. And I have a lot of confidence because they're like very capable people.
Yeah, if you're a city government type that's like enjoys this kind of thing, like me or this transition staff, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I want to work on this. Like, it's not often that this kind of things happen. It's not business as usual at all. And yeah, they've really approached it in a way that's like with like a lot of heart.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking about like home makeover shows. How like
yes, that is what's happening at City Hall right now. They're glowing up.
They're glowing up. That's what we're about. It's like I'm watching HGTV, and like in half an hour, we go from like this like lackluster house that's not really working for the people who live there to like this most amazing place that's better than we ever thought. But because we only see it in half an hour, we don't see all the work behind the scenes, and we don't see how long it actually takes, like weeks and months to do that. And if you've ever done home renovation or anything, it always takes longer than you think. But they have to be ready by January 1, 2025. And a lot of things have to happen before that, right?
Yeah.
Like people are already running for that office. They already have to have that structure in place. They're working on the budgets right now. They might, move around this org chart it's a lot.
Yeah, a lot's changing. And is it going to be perfect on January 1st? Like, probably not, but they're doing so much to make it great. And it's exciting.
Everyone I know who's in the know is excited about the transition. And I think that's a good sign that it's the right thing for our city.
Yeah, also I'm glad your show is just doing like generally talking about it, because like I think some of the coverage can be like, here's one highlight or one story about one thing that's happening, but the broader overall picture is what's actually like interesting and exciting about it.
Well, and, if you want to hear about the federal election for president, you can hear about that way more than you ever wanted to at any time of day. And honestly, that affects your day-to-day life less, again, editorializing, than your local officials, right? What you pay in local taxes, whether your streets get fixed, whether there's lights on your street. Like, the city does so many different things. And so figuring out who you want as that mayor, figuring out who you want as those city councilors is going to be a big deal. One more thing I'll say many times in this year, because we're going to keep the show going for the whole year to see how this transition goes. One thing I'll say many times is that, of course, voting is important, voting in the primary, paying attention, but also that voting is not easier anywhere than Oregon. Let that sink in. It could not be easier, right? We get sent this voter guide. That doesn't happen in other places. The voter guide that candidates get to have like a word limit is very equitable, right? To be able to see the candidates, like not with just road signs, but have it mailed to your house so you don't have to Google around for them, and then have your ballot sent to your house and you can just mail it. No, I mean, when I lived in another state, we had to show up somewhere, wait in line forever, miss some of work if we were allowed to, which really like excludes certain voters. I mean, you've seen on the news people standing in these long lines to vote. So, my thing is always you can complain or you can bring solutions and ideas. We brought solutions and ideas for how the government works.
Yeah, in the last presidential election, Portland has 78% voter turnout, which is super high. Most of the countries like 50% or less. So,
really?
Yeah, 78%.
So what will your role be personally kind of going forward?
Oh my gosh, it's the only sport I like.
Yeah.
This is my sports. Yeah.
Same.
What isn't going to be that? So GTAX rule, so great transition. I would love to invite everybody to invite us to come speak. So this presentation in a longer form with as much depth or lack of depth as your organization really wants.
Yep.
We're trying to speak to groups that are traditionally politically engaged, like neighborhood associations or democratic clubs, but also like knitting clubs and like your women's circle and like whoever is in Portland and are going to be affected by this, which is everybody who lives in Portland and the surrounding areas. So yeah, we would love to come and present. So we're going to be doing citizens engagement through the end of the transition. My term goes until 2025, till January 2025. Oh, wow. We also have public meetings where we talk a lot about the details of the transition and debate it and give our professional contributions and opinions. And we also take public comment. So can't say enough nice things about the public commenters who come and just share their observations and how insightful people are with their public comment. And it's really guided me a lot. There's just really smart things people come.
Mm-hmm.
And then, recreationally, I'm gonna be knocking doors. This is going to be an election where the effort is going to matter. It's very unusual that all 12 members of a city council, like, it's not a thing for 12 members to get elected at the same time.
All turning over.
It's all turning over. So it's a huge election. So if you've never gotten involved with an election before, this is an awesome year to choose somebody that resonates with you and show up and knock doors and do whatever you can for their campaign. Because I love democracy and I do this for fun, but it is just never, the impact is never like it's going to be this year.
Yeah.
Your door knock just goes further this year.
Yep.
So get out there and knock doors, and also we will be.
Yeah. I'm knocking doors with this show. There's a lot of different ways you can spread the word. If you just tell one person what you learned today, that just doubled the impact. So keep thinking about it this year as we get closer to elections. Of course, you'll want to help explain it some more. And we're even going to meet some of the candidates this year and some of the people who are leaving and hear what they think about the transition. So Amy, thank you so much for being here. Since we both think of this as our sports, I think maybe like election night, we might have to do a little broadcast or something.
Oh my gosh, that's my literal favorite. Like I have no chill. It's my Super Bowl. It's my absolute favorite. Yeah, awesome. We got it. That sounds great.
Well, cheers. Yes. All right. When we come back, the tea. It's a transition. Might come back from Hawaii because I don't know what I'm doing. All right, I've stopped looking at my phone. I don't know if this is work. Okay, so I'm going to guess it is working. All right, the tea for today, I'm going to do a little bit of my own gossip. So since we're downtown today, I want to talk a little bit about downtown revitalization. So of course, you're seeing in different places, hey, you need to go downtown. You need to go back downtown. You need to go shopping downtown. You need to rent an office downtown. Are you guys leaving? Okay, bye. It's all good. Thanks. I'll send you the tape. Oh yeah, just leave it right there. Thanks. See, I have to do all this on my own today, you guys. Anyways, so there's all this stuff telling us to like rent offices downtown, come back and work downtown from the office, and all those different things like that. There was even a downtown task force led by the governor this year to try to help generate ideas and a plan to revitalize downtown. I'm a little bit like too little, too late, but of course, Governor Kotek only took office this year, so it wasn't really her jurisdiction to work on this before this year. However, here's the tea. Way back in the day, like late 2020, 2021, the mayor had these action tables. I've never even heard that term action table, but basically they were committees they can't say committee because committees are an official thing like Amy just talked about. So they were these action tables around 5 areas of revitalizing Portland. So early, more responsive post the beginning of COVID, which we're almost on our 4th year or the end of 4 years. And so these were about different categories. And I was asked to be on the one that was more like branding, PR, that Portland, what people think about Portland, and also like getting them to come downtown and everything. It was a complete waste of time. These meetings were briefings. They were not taking ideas. And I joined it because the best minds in the city in PR and in branding were all part of this group. And I thought, we're going to come up with the best ideas. Like, these are people who own agencies. These are people who like work with big brands. We're going to come up with these amazing, innovative ideas. And that's not how these sessions were run. They were basically telling us what to do and asking us to amplify the message. And that's always the suspicion that people have when it comes to like giving feedback. And I will say, my company works on community engagement, and we really try to always ensure that if we are engaging the public or even just partners for a bureau or for a nonprofit, that we are actually taking their feedback and applying it. Like right after this, I have a meeting about like taking comments and putting them into a government strategic plan with integrity. So we're all about that. But I wrote a long note, not to the mayor because he wasn't in charge of that one. There was another person who used to work for the mayor and who used to be a mayor who was in charge of it, who's no longer at the city. rhymes with a beer. Anyways, and so I said, if you want us to actually solve the problem, you have to give us space to solve the problem. But this is just a briefing. It could be an email. We're busy. We're doing this for free. If I charge by the hour and then I'm volunteering my time in the middle of the day, I want that time to be valued. I'm happy to volunteer, but not if I'm just sitting there listening to something I could have read in my own spare time when it was convenient for me. So, huge missed opportunity. I don't really believe anything came out of those sessions. And also, I think they were open to the public. So, the last session I went to, I literally listened to a white woman with no discernible experience in branding or PR, go off about how she would not stand for minority voices not being heard, while myself and other BIPOC people were sitting there feeling just fine about the level of being heard that we were relative to our white colleagues. So it was kind of a you know, the word I'm trying to say that I'm not going to say in this broadcast because I don't know if you have children nearby. So when it comes to the downtown task force, I was not optimistic when I heard it was all made up of elected officials, leaders in government and nonprofit, and not many innovators. If you want to reinvent something, you should ask people who have experience in reinvention. I feel that way about the transition too. But if you're talking about revitalizing a city and reimagining a city, you can't make Portland great again, right? You have to think about what the future is going to hold. So you should be bringing in futurists. You should be bringing in city planners, and you should be bringing in entrepreneurs and innovators, people who have a track record of creating things that are exciting, that are new, and that people will adopt, in addition to branding and PR so people know how they work and adopt them. So my message to our elected officials who are trying to guide this work, and to leaders of organizations that are trying to guide this work, is don't choose your people based on who should be in the room on paper. Choose your people based on who can actually solve the problem. It's a transition. It's party time. Okay. So, what are the activities this week? Well, first of all, before we hit the weekend, I know what you're going to do because I was passed a note. We are going to, if we are part of a group of any kind, it could be, again, your knitting circle, your neighborhood association, maybe another club that you have, maybe my karaoke little club, you can request a presentation. Just go to portland.gov/transition. I just pop in Google Portland transition, and it's the first result that comes up because I'm always looking on there about where they are and what's the latest org chart that they dropped, and all the exciting things. So be sure to go over to that website, and yeah, you can request for Amy or somebody else from the team to come visit you, which is pretty cool. I would like to hang out with Amy more, wouldn't you? Yes. All right. So your event calendar. The event I'm most excited about, as you know, is PitchBlack. PitchBlack is a pitch competition for Black founders, and it gives away the most money on the entire West Coast to Black founders and CEOs. And it's so much fun. It's so uplifting. It's the community, and it's at the Reser on February 7th. The Reser is the most amazing, most beautiful performing arts center out in Beaverton. Fail Portland for not having it here and making sure it stays in Portland, but you can work on that for next year. But the research is amazing. We absolutely love everybody there. And so next week on February 2nd, it's going to be our PitchBlack episode, and we're going to talk to the founder, Stephen Green, about how all of that works. And we're going to come to you live from one of the contestants' stores right here in Portland. It's going to be awesome. And PitchBlack is sold out. We told y'all this would happen. But we're going to do a giveaway for tickets because I bought some extra tickets. So I'm going to give some of them away to our loyal viewers. So watch for that. That's going to be next Friday. All right. But this week, good news, the winter ice rink has been extended. That's an effort by the city to bring people downtown. And I actually think it's a really good one because an ice rink outdoors, hot chocolate, they're doing free movies there. I think that's wonderful. And now that it's not icy on the streets and you can't ice skate down your block, you can ice skate right near the Morrison Bridge downtown. The Winter Light Show is also coming up, so definitely check out their website. That's always a big hit, and we're going to be talking more about that as it goes in the next couple weeks. And then if you're trying to get out of town, you just want to take a little road trip, the casinos are bringing back the hits. and I was going to say of today and back in the day, but it's only just back in the day. So if you're kind of like love 90s music like I do, Blackstreet at Seven Feathers Casino on February 9th, Vanilla Ice CNC Music Factory and All for One at Spirit Mountain Casino on February 16th. I've seen this exact 90s house party concert. And let me tell you, absolutely worth it. And then in April, Third Eye Blind. Are you kidding? This is like my high school, college selves, like dream. So be sure you are getting those tickets in advance before they sell out because I'll just probably buy all of them. All right. Your challenge this week, as you feel busy and overwhelmed again after the lull of the ice storm, is to just drop something. You don't have to do as much as you're doing, boo. You're probably doing a little too much. So take this chance to hibernate. It's kind of like that perfect in between week between like it's been winter for too long and it's not going to be spring for too long. So just take care of yourself, go see a movie, grab coffee with a friend, just like veg out. Don't worry about it. And we're going to get through the rest of this winter together. I'm Ciara Pressler. This is Portland Tea Party. We somehow got through it without Mike. Again, Mike, I'm glad you're in Hawaii and doing exactly what I just said, but please come back. Please come back. And we will see you next week. Outro music, figuring out how to stop the live stream.